You're listening to Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Join us as we explore how medical professionals can achieve stellar success in all areas of life. It's time to level up.
Hi, everyone. We're back at Stellar Success Podcast. Today, I have a great guest all the way from Boca Raton, Florida, Dr. Martine Forrester. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome. Nice to have you here. I want to ask you a very straightforward question and start with a bang. What is your definition of success?
My definition of success. I think it's an inner happiness and an inner feeling of accomplishment in that I've made a positive contribution to society. Right. I think that, and I have a good, solid, work-life balance. But when I feel like I've given to this, earth, um, and I've given all that I can give, then I would, be personally successful. And hopefully that would also come with a level of financial success for me that will allow me to give more to other people and to my family. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're talking a little bit before we started a podcast, and I like what you said. I asked you to kind of deconstruct the recipe for success for yourself, and you said that you're still living the recipe right now. So, can you give us a little bit of insight of where you started, what brought you here, and what the plan is?
Where I started. So I think I started with just a really solid family unit that just encouraged me to be anything that I wanted to be, and let me know that there's no limits, right? And that it's okay to reach, right? And that there's nothing wrong with failing, right? It's all about getting back up and going for it again. And so whether it's in, as a kid, from like academics and sports straight through to whatever I try to get my hands on now, I feel like that's where I started. And where am I going, and why am I still living it? I think another thing that I learned is that there are people who've done the things you've done or similar to the things you've done. So I always try to align myself with people who've done it or who are doing it, because there's no sense in me having to make, the same mistakes they did. So I do believe in strong mentorship in all aspects of my life. And so when I say I'm still living the recipe, it's like I'm always looking for mentors and to try to improve like myself, my business, and my family. So like to definitely support systems around those aspects of my life. And now I think it's like, where am I going? I'm growing a team in order to have a bigger impact on the patients that I serve, right? And so I bought my own dental practice about 2 years ago, and I'm trying to grow that. And then I'm also started a company that helps patients with obstructive sleep apnea, which is another way I feel like I can contribute to society. So like I make people smile, I keep them healthy, like as far as oral health goes. I always had an inclination to just like global health and like overall health. And I think I found my calling in recognizing how, as a dentist, I can help the medical profession treat patients who are intolerant to wearing a CPAP machine, and recognizing just how important sleep is for overall health, longevity, and just, maintenance of all our metabolic processes that we have. So yeah, that's where I'm going.
That's awesome. I want to go back a little bit on what you said and the fact that you started off with family being the nucleus of your success, basically. Um, can you walk us through your journey in dentistry to the point that you became, and I like your title there, being a sleep dentist. Can you develop more about what it means?
Sure. So I think dental school, right? It's short in the grand scheme of things, like a 4-year um process, and they teach you the very basics, like as far as anatomy and like disease control intraorally. But I think to become a really great dentist, you continue learning, and you just continue learning about occlusion and like bites and airways and just like how that oral cavity can help us to um can help us to understand how somebody is doing just with their overall physical health. And then I think when I started to have kids and I started not sleeping a lot, and I was up and I heard my husband snoring. I mean, I don't know how, I don't quite remember how I transitioned into, oh, snoring is like that. Snoring's annoying, to like, maybe you should do something about it. And then recognizing that, um, sleep apnea is a very dangerous, deadly disease that goes untreated many times. And then, um, finding out that as a dentist, I have a unique ability to screen patients for sleep apnea. And, because I'm inside their mouth and there are many oral signs of it. And then, help to educate them and, follow up with them. And just in the same way, and I guess for me, it's like in the same way that I get fulfillment from creating a smile and like giving somebody that self-confidence to go out into the world and be the best version of themselves. When I talk to a patient who's been like the grumpiest person ever, and then they become this like really happy go-getter type of a person, then I'm like, this is why I was put here, so that I can help these people feel better and sleep better. And so yeah, it's twofold. Like I feel like those are the two things I enjoy doing. And I don't know, I became a dentist because I like using my hands and I like art and there's a creative aspect to all of that. And then, like I said, I did a master's in public health after dentistry because I just felt like I wanted to make a bigger contribution to society. And I think this is the way I found that I can do that.
That's great. That's a great journey, and I'm sure you're still going with your ideas. So going back to your recipe, like you said, can we kind of deconstruct that a little bit more for the audience and try to give us an idea of what you mean by a recipe? Do you have any kind of skills, habits, routines that you put in every day to get you where you are?
So I think mindset, right, has a lot to do with it. Um, until I started like personally reflecting on my own mindset, I guess after reading different books, about successful people and their habits, recognizing that some people are naturally born with certain traits, right? And I think that I had these traits, but a lot of them can be trained, right? I think your journey to success, like you just have to recognize that, like you just have to keep going, like no matter what obstacles are put in your way, like if you keep moving forward, anywhere is better than, as long as you make progress. It's like you need to celebrate those wins. So I guess deconstructing it, I keep routines for sure. I wake up early. I like to work out early, but that's stuff that I've always liked to do. And then I align myself with good mentors, figure out, write down my goals, all these things that I think that I set out to do, and then recognizing that these are habits that people who are successful in life, who just keep at it, you know, according to the books that they write. Like that's what they've been doing. So yeah, I mean, I think everybody's probably formula is a little bit different, and what their routines are might be a little bit different. But I've definitely found as the older I get, the more time I spend reflecting a little bit, right? Because you can't just be go 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 all the time. You have to have some introspection and some reflection to see if what you're doing is working, and just writing down those goals daily, and then probably quarterly. I probably do daily goals every morning, like early in the morning, and then at the end of the week, I usually see where I am, and then I probably do like a quarterly goal, and every year, I have like the big audacious goal. I feel like you have to have like one driving force, and then aligning all the team members to like rally around that and keeping those people motivated to keep you motivated and accountable for those things. So yeah, I don't know.
So when you write the goals, right?
Mhm.
You write them down, I suppose, and you say, okay, this is my goal for the week, or this is my goal for the month, and I have some other goals longer term. What do you usually see in accomplishing those type of goals? Do you overcome them? Do you get short of them? What is that keeps you putting them on the paper and follow the?
I think that I celebrate the win of like accomplishing any goal, whether it's the bigger goal or the smaller goal. And I think writing those goals, I'm really specific, right? So that even if it's something small, if I get it accomplished, then it's like, check, I did something, right? And then I have to recognize that like I did something. That's, professionally. I'm a mom too, right? So on my goal list also has to, like, I have family goals too. So I want to make it to soccer practice like this many times this week, which means I have to wrap up at work by a certain time. And I want to spend this much time with my kids this week. Like, no matter what it is, I write it down. And there's some goals I have continuing like every day or every week. And then there's sometimes you just have to, you throw a goal in there that you might not make, but there's steps in order to get there. And I don't know, you just keep going. And when you have a setback, you just keep going. Like I don't view a setback as a bad thing. It's just like another way for me to find out how to get there. And I think the bigger your dreams and aspirations, the more setbacks like I know you're gonna have, right? So, you just recognize that like when your big goals, you have big setbacks, and you just have to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I can even say that you probably don't reach a big goal successfully
Yeah.
unless you have a big setback at some point. So I totally agree. I think failure is part of success,
Part of the
no matter
process,
how
for sure.
yeah. And it's something funny in my experience. You're talking about listing, writing goals down. Every time I have a list of things to do or goals, goals to put down on paper, just by checking them out,
Makes you feel
it
good.
feels so good, right?
Yeah.
It feels a sense of accomplishment, whatever, for that day, for that month, for that year. But it's something that you get it done and you move on.
And it was hard for me to move from like a, a physical calendar into my phone, right? Writing these goals, but I still put a checkbox on there. So like I still check it, like it's done, it's done, it's done. It's convenient because I have it with me all the time. And if I think of anything, I can write it down, right? But
I'm still a little not sure if the phone works the same way as a pen and paper.
it
For
doesn't.
me.
It doesn't. But I think that sometimes because I'm carting my kids around, sometimes I've lost the book. And when you lose the book, then you lose a lot. So my husband's very techie, and his favorite line is like, it's always darkest before the light, right? So anytime I was struggling with anything, he's always like, it's always darkest before the light. And he's an entrepreneur too, and I just think that he just that's kind of like one of the other mantras I always have. It's always darkest before the light.
I think I'm losing you. We lost some video camera show. Dave.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. You mentioned something about failures and setbacks. Can you give us an example in your life of something that you didn't really didn't work out for you, and you learned from it, and you did a bigger thing at the end?
Um, let's see. I mean, there's so many, but if I had to pick one to share, um,
It's interesting there are so many because that's why you are so successful, right?
I mean, like I said, I'm not.
You're living the recipe.
I'm living the recipe. Yes, it's a continued. It's a process for me, and
In your professional life, in your personal life, anything that you
so
can.
in my professional life, like I think that I put things. I don't know what's the biggest setback for me. When I was buying my practice, like I was relocating from like another state, and I gave up because it was like just post pandemic, and every time I tried to like find a practice, or I thought the broker would show me a practice, it would be gone. Like before I had a chance to jump on a plane from New Jersey and like come down to see it or even get a handle on the books or anything. Because at that time, private equity were just buying up a lot of dental practices, and interest rates were low, and I was just like, I give up. I've been practicing already for 13 years, and I was quite happy. Work 3 days a week, had kids. I was like doing it, and then but there was something in me that was just like, no, you kind of always wanted to do it, and I gave up, and I was like, I'll just move to Florida, and I won't even think about it. And then one day, out of the blue, I was at a friend's wedding, and my broker calls me and says, I think I found the perfect office for you. I mean, I was exploring just starting from scratch and like not buying into our practice. And after I'd given up, and it'd been about a year because, we'd already moved and I already accepted a job. And ta-da, I met this like husband and wife, and they were ready to retire. And they had this amazing family practice that they had for 40 years. Um, and it was kind of like everything that I'd wanted in a practice. It was fee for service. It was relatively modern. They had a good reputation in the community, and they didn't want to sell to private equity. They wanted to sell to somebody who was going to really care, like not to be more personal with their patients, right? The way that they had been for the past 40 years. And, we had conversations about that, and it worked out really well for both of us. And so I think, after I'd just given up because it was just too hard I couldn't compete with a big private equity group promising people 8 times EBITDA and 12 times EBITDA and all of these things. And so just the way dental practices were sold before, it just wasn't happening at that time. And so, yeah, I felt pretty defeated because I'd come down many times trying to look at practices, and it just never worked out. It just always fell through. And finally, this one happened, and it was my time. So, even when I knew I wanted to do it, but like it was hard for me to like wrap my head around like, oh, I'm actually doing this. Um, and all the work that went into just like getting that deal finalized, was more than I thought. But like again, it was something that I wanted to do. So
Yeah,
here I am.
that's a great example. Not only for the the patience that you had to wait for the right deal, right? Because sometimes successful people are really acting on, I would say, calculations, impulse, money, position, power, but you really need to wait for the right moment to get the right deal. Um, and you said something earlier that a lot of people are questioning the fact that you had a great job 3 days a week, you had your family, your kids, you're very happy, but still you had something in you that wanted to develop your own practice.
Yeah.
What is the mindset behind this kind of entrepreneur spirit that you had?
I mean, some of it has to be like legacy, like what legacy do I want to leave? You know, um, what do I want people to say about me when I'm dead? Like I think about that a lot. That's crazy, right? But I do think like what like I don't know how many people would show up at my funeral. Like what legacy do I want to leave my kids, and how can I if I think if life was just about money, then I would just have a job and then like get paid and like leave and go home to my kids. But I think when it's more than money, right? It's I don't know. It's just more. I think it's more the gratification that you get from like building something and being an entrepreneur and watching other people, like watching your team prosper and watching your team flourish and seeing the impact that your work is having not only on your personal life but like on their families' lives, right? I think that is another part of it. Like you're building and that I don't know, in creating jobs and in creating opportunity for people, you're just like giving, and I think that has something to do with it. So like if life was just about money and you just wanted it to be like comfortable, then working 3 days a week is a pretty decent work-life balance. But yeah, there's something more. There's something more in some people, I think, that just pushes them to do a little bit more and go a little bit more. And the more you do, the more you realize you can do, right?
Yes.
And so it's like there's always more outreach into your community, more, wanting to employ more people, wanting to grow things bigger, wanting to help more people, wanting to mentor more people, wanting to, help people recognize their potentials, right? Because I didn't get here without people telling me, you can do, you should do, you, you know, don't count yourself short, So I try to give back. Like I try to like uplift others because I did come from like very humble beginnings. I grew up in Jamaica, but my parents always told me that's what they told me. They're like, the world is you can be anything you want to be in the world. You can do whatever, go wherever you want to go.
Yeah,
So
that's a great mindset to start with, especially in medicine, because a lot of people go to medical school or dental school and they just want to focus on, how much they're gonna earn, how much money they're gonna make, but that's not all in life. And like you said, it's building a legacy, it's building your own practice and make other people happy. And I'm sure at this point you're somewhere where within your office are people around you that are happy you did that.
yeah.
um, and they're grateful to be in a work environment where they prosper and they are successful, by you creating this environment. And I want to, I kind of want to get a glimpse on your day. Like how does a day look like for you? Like any day of the week. Like do you structure your day in a certain way? Balancing profession and personal life. How do you
So
look at that?
it's like a 5 a.m. wake up time. It's a 1 hour workout. It's when I'm home, I feel like I'm 100% home, and then when I'm at work, I'm 100% at work. So the time I spend with my kids before they get to school is very important for me. So like I have I have me time, and then I have family time, and then I have um I start with like a when after I drop the kids off, that's by 7:45. At like 8 o'clock, 8 to 8:15, I have like a group meeting for my staff, just to check in, talk about everybody's wins. I feel like starting the day on a positive note is very important. Um, and then I have um, usually a patient flow for the day till around 4, and then I kick my kids out, and then I'm back to mommy mode, and then that's it. Then it's like, and then I have like after I put my kids to bed, then I have time for my husband. So like I just create those moments and that time to share myself, pieces of myself with everybody, right?
Right.
And
Yeah,
then
you're
I
not
have
juggling everything and everybody in the same time.
yeah, it's structured. Yes, to answer your question, yes, it's structured. If it is not structured, it doesn't work for me. Um, because then something falls short, right? I can't be 100% on top of something if I'm not 100% focused on that thing.
Yeah.
So I do try to like create some structure. You know.
Yeah. We're talking a little bit about money and what kind of value you put on money on your practice. And I'm sure you encounter people in your profession that are at a certain, time in their career or age, and they don't want to practice anymore. Um, but they still need to live and they still need to have some kind of income to come in. How do you approach this idea of passive income and some alternative sources of income that you can rely on after you don't want to practice anymore?
So I do think. So I think yeah. There's let's see. I recognize that my hands will give out at some point and my hand-eye coordination won't be there. And for me, I think extending my ability to help patients transitions me into like a full-time sleep practice because I don't have to physically do very small controlled movements or like physically have to, strain my back in order to get to a certain position. So that's where for me sleep comes in. It's not passive in the sense that I still have to be there, but I don't physically have to be present in an office to have that run all the time because I can train sleep coordinators to do it. I just have to kind of read the reports and talk to patients. And then, um, investments, like my husband does a lot of the kind of startup, um, tech companies. So always looking for like new opportunity to help entrepreneurs in any scalable tech business. So that's kind of where I think I'll generate hopefully passive income,
Yeah.
when that time when that time comes. So yeah, I think that's it. That's it. Like sleep will extend my clinical time and then kind of being a early stage um investor for a lot of these small tech companies should hopefully yield some positive return. So that's that. And my husband does a lot of that stuff. So that's where that comes in.
Nice, nice.
Because in sleep, I feel like in medicine I didn't learn much about that. And then
Well,
when I met
yeah.
him, he was
It-
he kind of taught me a lot about that.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides that I see a lot of people talking about, the fact that, we're so well trained I would say, in our profession and kind of well-versed in different aspects of it. But we do not have, or many people don't have any kind of financial education because we focus so much on the medical
Agree.
side of it
Yeah.
that we forget that with all the income that we get from this profession, we need to grow it in ways that we don't know. And that there's, we need to learn along the way. And that's why I'm bringing up people like yourself, in any other domain of medicine that can get some glimpse of how medical professionals can be successful, not only in their medicine practice, but overall financially.
Yeah. You have
And
to
that's
make
what,
your money work for you. You can't
absolutely,
work all the time.
exactly. Like Buffett said, if you don't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you're
While
gonna
you're
work until you die.
exactly.
So yeah, it's very important. Now, if you look back in your career and knowing what you know right now, what kind of advice would you give someone that want to do what you did?
I always say I would have bought my practice sooner. Um, I think that I tried to compartmentalize. So like I was busy like kind of having babies and being a mom and like focused on that. And there's just no matter how much you prepare for it, there's still so much growing that you have to do when you become a CEO and a boss of something that I think I would have done it sooner because I knew it's something that I wanted to do and I wouldn't have just like waited. So that's it. But I think in my case, like I couldn't decide where in the country I wanted to live. So, I was kind of feeling things out and I'm happy I chose Boca. I love it. Um, can't beat the weather and I
Right.
can fly to the cold anytime I want.
Yeah, that's true. That was a good choice. Any projects, goals that you're excited about coming up?
Well, Deep Sleep Center is a new kind of project for me. I just started it about a year ago. And so growing that, I think I have the capacity to reach even more people through sleep. So growing that business, um, I think I can. I think, I think, I think it will give a lot of dentists um, the ability to use their clinical skills past their physical ability to do clinical dentistry. And I think that I can grow that business and hire maybe not so older dentists who still want to be clinical but not physically doing dentistry. And there's just a lot that's going on in the sleep world, and I think that growing that business is a big, lofty, pretty audacious goal that I have. Um, because I think I want to become like a brand that is recognizable. Like when you go into, like everybody knows what a CPAP is. Like I want people to know what an oral appliance is, and then I want them to know where to get that oral appliance. And then at Deep Sleep centers across the country.
That's a
I
great
think
goal.
that's my audacious goal, to be honest.
Awesome, awesome. A little franchise,
Yeah.
maybe. That's
I don't
great.
know. I don't know if I'll franchise it, but we'll see.
Awesome.
But
Well,
thought has crossed my mind.
yes, definitely. No, that's a great goal to have. And I wish you uh, lots of luck and success in achieving that. And I'm sure you will. And I hope the audience got a glimpse on what kind of person you are and what kind of success recipe you have, although you're still living it. Um, and like you said, it's not the destination, it's the progress.
Yep, for sure.
So thank you so much, Dr. Forrester. And maybe we'll circle back when you have that sleep center fully developed.
Yeah, I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on Stellar Success, Leveling Up for Medical Pros with Dr. Tudor Francu. Interested in joining us? Go to stellarsuccesspodcast.com/guest to apply. Stay stellar and level up.